10 banned water slides you can't ride. Hey there YouTube. Tell me what could possibly go wrong on a water slide. They're way slower and more enclosed than roller coasters. Well, usually things could happen like getting stuck in the dark. I mean even being slammed into someone 3 times your size. I've experienced that, and how could I forget falling off the edge? But hey, there's still a great time. Just ignore the broken bones, the possible monsters living in the tubes, and also the fat guy you collided with. That's why today, we're gonna tell you about 10 water slides that you don't have to worry about riding anymore. Here's 10 banned water slides you can't ride. Let's begin, shall we? Number 10, Steamer Slide. Borrowing how dirty this name can be construed, Calypso Water Park, in Ottawa, Canada, was slammed with 20 charges in 2015 due to safety issues. 9 were withdrawn during the trial, leaving 11 charges remaining. The Calypso Water Park was found guilty of 6 of these charges. These charges mainly concerned a particularly dangerous slide called the Steamer Slide. Now here's how this slide goes. Riders on the steamer plummet down the sled on tubes, and those tubes worked fairly frequently, leaving several people injured. One person broke a vertebra in 2 places on the ride, another broke their collarbone. When these injuries happened, the water park failed to report the incidents or shut down the slide. Number 9, Aquasphere. Now this one sounds less dirty and more like a Pokemon move. The Aquasphere is part of the Peninsula Aquatic Recreation Center. This slide, which features long winding paths, has been plagued with all kinds of problems since its conception. These problems usually result in people suffering some pretty intense injuries. One boy was seen thrown out the side of the bottom, completely limp after falling off the raft and being bounced around inside the slide. The impacts led to unconscious after this incident. The slide was closed for investigations into what caused the problem. However, this is hardly the first time the slide has been shut down after an injury in its past. The slide has severely injured 2 young boys in one incident, and at its spiked burrs in another, as well as injured 2 adults who hit their heads on the ceiling of the slide. Even when the ride was first tested by the staff and their families for a private event after first being built, it still managed to injure several people. Number 8, Shoot the Rapids. Shoot the Rapids is a waterslide in Cedar Point. Riders get to go down a massive slide while on a raft, with up to 10 people hitting on one raft. The ride was the site of one of the worst injuries and incidents in waterslide history. One of the rafts was being pulled to the top of the hill when the ride malfunctioned. The raft was sent hurtling back down the hill before flipping upside down. That meant that 10 people, count them 10, were stuck in their seats trapped in the water with no way out. One woman had suffered severe head injuries. There were children on the raft who were scared out of their minds. People rushed into the water and attempted to manually flip the raft back over by hand. If it weren't for these brave people who answered the call, the people on the raft probably would have drowned. Number 7, Black Hole. One of the most infamous water slides in the world is the Black Hole Slide of the Wet and Wild Water Park in Orlando. It has been the target of several lawsuits also by people who have been seriously injured while riding this death trap. In 2000, a man was awarded $1.73 million after filing a lawsuit pertaining to severe injuries who suffered in the black hole. He was struck by an unknown object while traveling down this slide. When he was ejected out from the bottom of the slide, he couldn't move his legs. He later needed metal plates and planted into his neck. There have been countless other lawsuits against Wet and Loud after injuries sustained in the black hole. One girl suffered injuries after falling off or hitting the bottom. Another person came to a complete stop and was hit hard by the next person coming down the slide. Another girl's tube flipped, injuring her. The main problem is that the ride takes 23 seconds for a person to complete, but the staff sent a tube down every 20 seconds, meaning they don't wait until the first person has left the slide before pushing another person down. Number 6, Insano Waterslide. For our next waterslide, we go to Brazil's Beach Park. It's home to one of the tallest water slides in the world. We are of course talking about the Insano Waterslide. This thing is a whopping 41 meters in height. That's the same as a 14-story building, so it was bound to have terrible injuries associated with it. Riders experienced speeds of over 65 miles per hour on their riveting way down to the bottom. They say it is so steep that your body barely touches the actual slide. You're in mid-air for most of the ride because of this. It's incredibly important to cross your ankles and cross your arms around your chest if you want to ride this thing. For all the hype, this slide is over in about 4 or 5 seconds. Staff often laugh at people who come out of the bottom of this ride. These tourists are often reduced to tears by the time they get spat out of the bottom of this behemoth. I mean, can you blame them? That's a 14-story building.
The ride, known as the Sahara Sidewinders, imposed an unreasonable risk of injury to Kalahari's guests, the family's attorney, Brian Hodgkiss of Appleton, stated in the lawsuit. He also wrote that Kalahari was aware of the unreasonable risk of injury due to prior reported incidents and that the resort made no reasonable alterations or safety precautions to mitigate that ongoing risk. The lawsuit labels the ride, which Kalahari added to its 124,000 square foot indoor water park in 2011, as a dangerous condition or trap. As part of the ride, a guest is dropped from a trapdoor chamber into one of 2 looping slides. The lawsuit claims the boy suffered personal injury, pain, suffering, and loss of enjoyment of life. It also says his family incurred medical expenses as a result of the incident. It asks a judge to award damages.
Number 4, Cannonball Falls. For the next of our dangerous water slides, we return once again to the infamous Action Park. Having a water park with the most injuries in the state is one thing, but what about the single water slide that has the most injuries in the entire state? That honor goes to Cannonball Falls, the most dangerous ride in the most dangerous park, in the most dangerous state, New Jersey. Let's get dangerous. Because of the sheer amount of people who were getting injured on this thing, the park has shut down in September 2015. The slide ends with a 10-foot sheer drop into a pool. 6 people were severely injured, and only in one season, 5 of these people all suffered the same injury, an injury to the shoulder. The company that operates the park was extremely reluctant to pay for medical treatment for any of Cannonball Falls victims. Number 3 has ever upped one of the most recent and horrific tragedies who have occurred on a waterslide involved a waterslide called Verict. This waterslide is located in the Kansas City Water Park and is the tallest, largest waterslide in the world. It's 17 stories high. A 10-year-old boy was thrown from the raft and decapitated in August 2016. The boy was very skinny, and many people are saying he shouldn't have been allowed on the slide, which also has a height limit. Verict is a German word that translated roughly as crazy. Since the incident, the slide has been rightfully shut down. Number 2, Geronimo Falls. Geronimo Falls is a slide in the infamous Action Park of Water Park in New Jersey, where several people were injured, died, or sued the park because of its lack of safety precautions, kind of a common theme around these water parks. Geronimo Falls no longer exists, but when it did, it was considered one of the most extreme slides of all time. This was due to its incredibly stupid amount of steepness. The incline was insane. Today's slides don't even try to match this level of steepness. There's a few reasons for that actually. But the most important reason they don't make slides as steep anymore is because when you build a slide like Geronimo Falls, people sliding down and actually start flying into the air instead of sticking to the slide surface. They continued this problem by installing a metal grate over the slide's opening. That meant tons of people slandered to the metal grate, and they were bounced back down into the slide, causing severe injuries. People going down this slide experience speeds upwards of 60 miles per hour. Number 1. Cannonball Loop. It was rumored that this attraction was never actually open to customers, but in 1985 the Cannonball Loop was indeed open to business. During testing of a Cannonball Loop, dummies were thrown in and decapitated. The attraction was adjusted until the dummies came through with heads intact and then parked. Employees were offered $100 to test it out themselves. Boy, that's great management. Thankfully no one died on this monstrosity, but some people did become stuck, and before it was closed for good, a trapdoor was installed into the loop to retrieve pin-dried areas. That's our video for today, guys. See you guys in next video. Please consider subscribing. Jai Hind.